They are jumping in now.
Okay, should we start?
Yeah, let's kick things.
Oh, well, hello, Guidespark. Sorry, I'm like, oh yes, it's time for somebody has to do something, and I guess that's me. Guidespark, hello, Laura Stack in the house with Kitchen TV, where we like to stir things up. Thank you again for coming back today. Our class today is Cooking with Kids, and it is a half-hour class. But if there are any children who are there, we actually are going to do two recipes today from the packet of, you have 4 recipes, but we only have a half-hour class. So we're going to just get into it because class is going to go by like that. I'm glad you could come back. The 2 recipes that we're doing today, and actually the 4 in the packet, I call them kid approved. And that's because though I do not have children myself, I have cooked for kids for years in their homes, private. I probably cooked for more kids than for the kids more than their parents have, quite honestly. And the recipes that I've chosen in the packet are kid approved. The first recipe that I'm going to do, Stephen's wontons, are named for Stephen because I swear to you, I made them once a week for probably 2 years. And the second recipe will be an Okonomiyaki, which is just fun to say. And both recipes are actually not only good for kids and their eating and the foods that they like, but they're good for kids to actually participate in because of the nature of the recipe. So let's start with Stephen's wontons. So wontons, of course, oh, by the way, we're not going to have a switcher today for the camera. So you will just see all 3 cameras at once on your screenshot that allows you to do that. So if you are on just the speaker view, you will just see me. But if you are on that multiple shot, you're going to see different cameras, and that may be what you want to be on. Because when I'm actually showing the overhead shot, the voice is still being activated through the general shot. So I'm starting off with showing these wontons because these are just regular old wontons from my local grocer. They are actually square. Oh, you can't see, square, made from wheat. But there are so many shapes of wontons. If you go to like Ranch 99, which is an famous Asian group of grocery stores in the Bay Area, different grocery stores as well, you can get round ones, you can get big ones, small ones. Then you can like cut them out with cookie cutters or do all kinds of things with already pre-made dough. And this is a fabulous recipe for anybody to participate in. In fact, I encourage you to have a wonton making party where people can come in and make their own wontons. Now we're going to use for the recipe, as it says, a ½ pound of ground chicken, but I don't want to shut out any vegetarians out there. This recipe is absolutely fine if you use ground up tofu. You could use the smoked tofu that's already seasoned for that, or just use plain. You can also use a product called seitan, which is in wheat gluten that comes in crumble form, or you could even use some of the new fake meats. So for anybody and anything, this recipe will work. So I've got a ½ pound of the turkey. Oh, and I wanted to just show you, I have this wonderful beeswax wrap that was over the pot or the bowl, and they're really wonderful to help reduce that plastic that our kids are telling us we have to stop using in the kitchen, plastic wrap. So these are reusable. You wash them with cold water. They last for, they say, about a year. I've had mine about a ½ a year and they're still doing well. And you can even buy these beeswax wraps now at Trader Joe's. I'm going to add some green to it. And I know out there someone's going to say, oh, green, I don't eat green. My kids don't eat green. And what I found interesting with Stephen, again, he was probably 8 years old when I started cooking for him. A lot of times you won't notice that there's green in the wontons, which is lovely for any child who says, ooh, to green. But, you know, if you don't want to add the green, you don't have to. You can replace it with things like carrot or corn to get other vegetables in the wonton. It doesn't just have to be green. The green onions, I'm going to take off the bottom part of the green onion, and then we'll do what I like to do in that we just kind of cut those guys in half, and then we get to practice again with our fingers and the way that we cut, knowing that if our fingers are like this, we're looking to cut our fingers off. So when I'm cutting my green onion or anything, I fold my fingers under, and my thumb that's hanging out here goes behind my fingers. And now this mid part of my finger becomes my knife block that allows me to chop without feeling like I'm going to cut my finger off. So green onions are a good way for us to practice that, because they're so long in their process of cutting. Chop those guys up. You can cut them as small or as large as you choose. And again, a nice replacement if you want a little onion, but you don't want green, could be any type of onion. Red, of course, being a little bit more mellower than yellow. Those are fine. Certainly even a leek would be good in this option. Now, my cilantro is a good example for us to realize that we can use stems in our herbs. Now, turns out that the stems in cilantro have more flavor than the leaves. But what I like to do, and the stems are soft, but what I like to do is I like to take off some of just the bigger stems, that are kind of taking up a little bit of the space. And then chop the rest of the herbs with stem included. So if you shop at the farmer's market and you make it to any Mexican farmers, you ask them what part of the cilantro has more flavor, and they will tell you it's the stems. So there are certain stems that we don't want to include in food, such as parsley stems. And the reason we don't is because the stems are harder, and then they get in the way of our teeth chewing. But cilantro stems are not like that. So about to a half a cup of meat, about a third of a cup of cilantro. I'm going to add in some just ground ginger. I find kids like ginger. You can certainly grate up some fresh ginger and squeeze it in, if that is your option. A little bit of salt. And then I'm going to add some crunch. My crunch is coming in the way of some chopped peanuts. I actually chop them less fine than I used to. If you have an allergy to peanuts, you can use any nut or seed. If you have an allergy to that as well, you could use pretzels. You don't have to use any of it, but what's nice is we're going to be steaming these wontons and removing the crunch that you may get if you would deep fry them. So why don't we make it healthy by incorporating the crunch, because variation causes us to eat more. I'm sure I've said that to some of you before. Variation causes us to eat more. And that's not just in flavor, that's also in texture. So crunch causes us to eat more. Crunch and soft together are really a turn on to the brain, but inverting the crunch to the inside still gives us the crunch by peanuts or pretzels or seeds or even carrot, raw carrot, but avoids the deep fry fat. I'm also going to add a little spice to it because I like a little spice, but you don't have to add a little bit of hot sauce. Some kids love it, some kids don't. And I'm going to add an egg to the mix as well. Now the menu says egg white, but these days I'm just adding I'm adding the whole egg. You can add either. I'm not as fearful of egg yolks as I used to be, but I guess I should be fearful here because the chef couldn't even crack an egg. All right, there we go. And we'll add that in. Look for any more shells as well. All right, so anytime if there were any kids out there cooking, and again, I'm assuming the kids are back in school, so great to hear all that. But I make sure that they go down the list and check all the ingredients and make sure you've got everything in there. And then we can mix it. I'm just gonna mix it with my hands. Now, if you like this class, we will have a video of it. But actually, I just taught this class to the Santa Clara City Library, and it's the hour-long version. And for a couple weeks, it's going to be up on their website as the hour-long class. So you can either check this link for the half-hour class, or should you want to see the hour class, go on to the Santa Clara City Library website. And I'm happy to give you that link. If you would like it, let me wash my hands. All right. So now what you want to do again is lay out, you can give everybody a cutting board and lay out your wontons on people's cutting boards if you want to make it a little more organized. And I'm just going to take a bowl of some water here with my fingers inside. And I'm going to just go around the outside of that wonton to give it something to seal. There's a lot of ways you can seal a wonton, but I find these are just the easiest. And then we'll look for, get a little spoon and about a tablespoon in each. Now, you don't want a full tablespoon, so really it's kind of a flat tablespoon, or 2 teaspoons, say. If you have too much inside filling, it'll squeeze out of the outside, which will make it just obviously harder to control. And then there are so many different ways that you can do these guys. I like to do them, like this way, just folding them over, but you could do them this way, where you pinch and leave them open. Right, you can make them as squares. You can make them a lot of different ways, but they're fun to do. You'll notice they're easy to close. This one's got a lot of stuff in it, so it's coming out, as you can see. But if that's the case, you can pretty it up, or you can just let it squeeze out. Depends on, and they don't take long. That's the issue. A lot of people, oh, it takes too long. Actually, how long did that take me? Hopefully 15 minutes. And hey, it's even less because we started a little later. So very simple. I'm just going to make these 4 because of our time. But you'll see, different kinds of opportunities for different types of shapes. And then if you look at the camera on the stove back here, I'm going to use some extra, or just some oil spray. Now, the thing, of course, me is it's completely non-intuitive where the camera is. It's always backwards. Anyways, this is just spray oil, if I can figure out. And I've got a steamer here. There's new steamers with legs on them these days, very nice, and some water inside, just enough to make to give us a steam, but not touch the bottom of the steamer basket. And we'll put these guys on there. Turn on our stove, and I'm just going to cover them. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the pot to the other side, because sometimes the steam will turn the camera off. So we'll let that go there. And then I'll say, hey Siri, set the timer for 7 minutes. Okay. All right. I got the new iWatch. I feel like I'm James Bond. Let me clean up the cutting board. One of my cooking teachers used to tell me that the vegetables like their space. They like to be on the cutting board without competing with other vegetables. So we want to keep our cutting board clean, like we keep our desk clean, hopefully, and our rooms clean, because clean desk clean, room clean, cutting board, clean mind, more space for creativity. The kitchen is no different than the office. The kitchen is the office. We just happen to be working with food rather than computers and pens. All right, Stevens wontons. We're going to make our dip sauce now, which is really quick and easy. Actually, I have some already kind of started here, but I want to turn you on to a few ingredients that are perfect for what I call easy seasoning. If you've taken my class before with vegetables, we talk about salt and pepper with a college education, seasonings that go together quickly, like salt and pepper do, but offer us more variety. And this is an easy seasoning and a great dipping sauce. And that is the combination of soy sauce or tamari of your choice, the rice vinegar, doesn't have to have sugar in it, and then toasted sesame oil, which has a bouquet that is so delicious. So equal parts of these can make a wonderful dip sauce. And if you want to add a few other creative ingredients that you may not know, I encourage you to look for umeboshi plum vinegar. I'm going to show it on the overhead camera. This is the best kept culinary secret. Not a lot of time to talk about that today. And also mirin, which is a cooking wine that does have about 2% alcohol, so may not be for kids, but for your easy seasonings as adults. These 5 seasonings in equal parts make up a terrific dip. And then, of course, you can add some hots to it or some toasted sesame seeds. Or maybe you don't have wontons. Maybe you just have some leftover pasta and you're going to saute up some vegetables and you want dinner. You can just make up a quick, easy seasoning. And this can be your dressing for your pasta, or it can drizzle onto your grains. Really good seasoning for a lot of different purposes. But certainly good for our wontons, and we'll just pour it into our little dipping bowl, like Sammy. All right. So our second and last recipe is Okonomiyaki. Again, try to say that 5 times fast. Chickadees. It is a Japanese recipe that is really good because children can actually work on the process of getting the vegetables ready. One thing that younger kids can do is work on the kale, which is one of the vegetables in our recipe. And they can pull that stem off very easily. And if you want to include the stem, just chop it up finely, just like the stems of parsley. The kale stem is a bit too rough. So we can, if we're going to use it, we want to pull it out of the leaf, which is softer, and then we want to dice it up fine, and then it can absolutely be sauteed or put into our vegetable pancake. The kale leaves, perfect for young children because all they need to do is rip them up into the bowl. So no knife is required. Now, the vegetables that I'm using for this okonomiyaki today, or vegetable pancake, are kale, cabbage, and carrots. Oh, I think some scallion. I got scallion around here, yeah. But you can use any vegetable. And of course, the thing about vegetable pancakes is, 1, it uses up what is in your refrigerator, which is a perfect thing. And 2, it gives us vegetables in the form that children like, and that actually we all like, which is, most of us prefer, here's some cabbage, I'm going to talk while I'm slicing it up thin. Most of us prefer small pieces of vegetables. And let me give you an example. Again, this is cabbage that I'm chopping now for our okonomiyaki. Any color will do. So I'm a vegetable person, and I have been forever. Vegetables, of course, have carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates is what feeds our brain, right? Protein feeds our muscles. Carbohydrates make us think better. And I like vegetables, and I would always go into the Whole Foods salad bar and get some vegetables. Get the salad bar, and I would always take the cauliflower and the carrot, the cauliflower and the broccoli, because I was doing the right thing, and I like cauliflower and broccoli. But they were always big pieces. Now this is carrots. I'm stopping my story for 1 second while I just take off the bottom and peel my carrot. And showing you that this is a fun cut for kids too, because it doesn't require a knife. I can simply use my peeler and peel pieces of carrot into my okonomiyaki. And this is a fun cut as well, because it's like noodles. So you can have like carrot noodles. Again, a peeler means young kids can make this process. And remember, variation causes us to eat more. And that's in flavor, and that's in texture. But guess what? It's also in size. The way that we cut vegetables makes a difference. So vary your cuts, and you may find people eat more of them. This type of carrot is great in salad. Anyways, back to timer done. Okay, hold on, hold everything. We're going to go over to the stove. It's been 7 minutes. I can see by just touching them that they're steamed well. And we'll just turn that off, and I'm going to let those guys sit in there with the cover off for the moment. Okay, and actually I'm going to start to heat my cast iron skillet. Okay, so let me get back here. We've got cabbage, we've got kale, and I'm peeling now this fun cut of carrot. Well, I tell you the story of Whole Foods. So yeah, I'm in the salad bar, and I always get the broccoli and the cauliflower because I'm doing the right thing, and I like broccoli and cauliflower, right? Why wouldn't I? But the pieces are big. And I noticed that even a person who likes vegetables, I got to the end of my salad, and what was still left in the box but the broccoli and the cauliflower, time and time again. And why, you may ask? Well, I think it's because the pieces were big. So now when I go, well, we don't go anymore, but it's that idea that when we do get to go back to the salad bar, I just rip up the broccoli and the cauliflower into smaller pieces, and I put them in the box, and lo and behold, I get to the end of the box and there's no broccoli and cauliflower left. So that just reiterates the idea that if pieces are small, we have a tendency to eat more vegetables. And that's why, again, this type of technique where the vegetables are being cut thinly and we're putting them together in a melange, using up whatever we happen to have in our refrigerator, we get a good opportunity to eat more vegetables. Little green onion. All right. So I'm going to keep putting a little salt. I'll put a little salt in here, and I can put any other, if I wanted to put some herbs or anything, right? Anything you want. Now I've got my vegetables. I've got my my salt. I need to have something that binds it together, right? So I'm going to start off with some flour, and I happen to have garbanzo bean flour here, which is made from garbanzo beans, and adds protein then to my my mix. Now you can use regular flour if you choose, and basically the recipe says a quarter cup of flour, I think, to all the vegetables, but we're only doing some, and you can just kind of add it and look to see that the vegetables are coated. Now, why does flour bind our mix? Well, because basically it's sticky, right? Flour has gluten, or just it absorbs moisture, and then it becomes sticky, so it becomes a binder. But we need to add some moisture to it. We could add water and it would be sticky, but if I really want to add something that will give me good stick, it's an egg. And if I don't eat eggs, today is a day for shells in my eggs. You get to see. Isn't it fun? You fight this. You have to fight it because it always goes off to the side. Ah! Hold on. There we go. Now, if you don't eat eggs, you can use flaxseed. And that's an option for you too. So, of course, by using egg, we get a little protein in it. And by using flaxseed, we also get a little protein in it, plus good fiber. So you would have to make a viscous mix of soaking flaxseed in water. And we'll add that to our mix. All right, so back to the stove. I usually add avocado oil because it's a higher heat oil. I don't have any avocado oil today. I just used it yesterday and they had none in the store today. So I'm going to use peanut oil, which is also a high heat oil. Again, may not be for everybody, but certainly okay for people that can eat peanuts. It's a high heat oil. And to that then, hold on. Don't want to make it too hot. I'm just going to mix up my Okonomiyaki. And you want it to be well mixed. We're on the oven shot for anybody who's watching. And I have a cast iron skillet. Now, why a cast iron skillet? Why does a cast iron skillet be something that works for my vegetable pancake and works well for my regular pancakes? Let's talk about that. Once it's heated up, I'm going to turn it down and take a spatula, flatten it out, kind of bring in the loose ends so that that viscousness and ability for the egg to hold it all together will happen. I'm going to use the stove shot to show you another reason why the pancake stays together with egg is because eggs have protein that are more like the fingers of my hand, if I can figure out where the camera is. Egg protein, when it's not cooked, is straight out. And as the eggs become cooked, look at me, I can't figure, there we go. As the egg becomes cooked, the proteins go like this. It's so hard, I have no idea. How about the other shot? You know, egg proteins are like this. When heat happens to egg proteins, they curl up in a ball. That's the overhead shot. And that's another reason why eggs hold things together, because the protein is actually becomes like a hand and grips on to the protein. All right, so let's do some plating here because our class is coming to an end. I have my sauce made with that easy seasoning, brown rice vinegar, no sugar added. You don't have to have sugar in rice vinegar. The reason why it's called rice vinegar is because it's made from rice. You got it. Brown rice vinegar, toasted sesame oil, and soy sauce or tamari are a great easy seasoning. Adding in a little bit of umeboshi vinegar, the macrobiotic antibiotic. That's a story for another class. And maybe a little bit of mirin or Japanese cooking wine if you choose. I'm going to get my wontons again, which are steamed. But you could also, if you'd like with a little bit more crunch and you don't want to deep fry them, you could just take them now and saute them in some butter or ghee. And that's another, you could put a little crunch to them, but I find these are perfect. And of course they can have anything that goes into them. Here we were using the chicken, brown chicken. Now back over to the stove shot. We're going to look at our okonomiyaki. It should be pretty ready to flip. Look at that, amazing. It doesn't look like it would stick together, and it does. And we're gonna let that finish up by making one last easy sauce for the okonomiyaki, because sauces really help us give a lot of zing and zest. I have 2 sauces in the recipe for you. One uses that product umeboshi, but it uses it in a paste. And again, that's a subject for another class, or maybe a question at the end of class. But this particular easy seasoning is ketchup. What do I say? I say, I'm just going to add a little bit. So the recipe says 2 tablespoons ketchup, 1 tablespoon hoisin, or that kind of seasoned soy sauce called hoisin, which will give it some good texture and make it a little bit more viscous. So 2 to 1. And then should you choose, you can add in, again, some hot sauce or some sriracha or not. Certainly, if you wanted to make it a little more zesty, you could add in some lemon if you wanted, or lime if you wanted to make it, give it a little herb. You could add in some ginger, ground ginger or fresh ginger. Some garlic would also be a nice, either powder or some macerated chopped garlic. But very simple and easy. And with the ketchup, kids love it as a sauce. My pancake looking really good, looking really interesting, the way that the shapes and the vegetables hold on to it, even though they're not all completely covered in egg. With my hoisin sauce, my dumplings, with my easy seasoning sauce. So let's see, I want you to be able to read my little plate. So we've got appetizer plate, please share me. And we have our okonomiyaki with our hoisin for your kid proved entertainment and enjoyment. So that's our class today, Guidespark. Remember that this is a half-hour class. We have 2 other recipes in the packet, but we don't have time today to do them. Should you want to see me do them, again, look at that Santa Clara City Library videotape, which will be up for only, I think, about 3 weeks is what they've said. And if anyone wants and can't find it, please contact Michelle or Tressa, and I'll send you that link. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. All righty. Well, we will see you next week for our last class in our summer series. Next week is quarantine cuisine. I'm going to update a little bit because the class came from when we were all stuck in our kitchens with tons of food that we bought in bulk and didn't know what to do with. So I'm going to, we'll do a little update to that. It is, again, you can cook along. I think we'll be making a pasta dish, which is fast and easy. And actually next week's pasta dish, you could make the sauce during class, and then you'll have it made for dinner. And that could be an option should you want to participate in a hands-on class next week. So thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
Wonderful. Thanks,
Bye.
Laura. This was wonderful.
Bye now.